Okay, good morning. Welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Yud Aleph. Yud Aleph says, "Emas ha'amru tosefes bikurim k'bikurim zman sheibam in haaretz." Tosefes bikurim, we learned in the previous Mishnah. You could add on to bikurim, right? If you have one cluster of grapes, the first growing grape, that's really bikurim. Maker adin. You could add on. You can take in one basket. You can take a lot of clusters of grapes, provided that they all come in haaretz. And the Rishonim explain, as opposed to Evra Yard in the west bank of the Jordan. That's not considered part of Eretz Yisrael because Kiddush Roshana Kitchel Shaita Velo Kitchel Asad Lavo. They was never reconquered when they came from Bavel, the West Bank. So therefore, you can't bring Tosefes Bikurim from it. You can bring Bikurim. You can't bring Tosefes Bikurim. Now, the West Bank is unique that you could bring normally Bikurim from it. You don't do Kriya over there. Here, the Chiddush is you can't even bring Bikurim from Eber Yarden. So you see Tosefes Bikurim, and I saw about Tosefes Bikurim are really not Bikurim. Bikurim is like the Lashon Bikurim, the first growing grapes, the first growing figs, the first growing wheat. It was not the first growing. It's not actually Bikurim. The Tosefes Bikurim has to be something that the complete mitzvah of Bikurim applies to it, because we said that Hidr mitzvah, right? Iter Bikurim, Hidr mitzvah is the external part of the mitzvah. This is an internal part of the mitzvah. But even in the internal part of the mitzvah, it has to be that when I add on to something, right? There's a certain shiur for a lot of things in the Torah. When I add on to those shiurim, is that considered part of the Iker mitzvah? Like payah, I can make my whole field payah, even though the Chum said only 1/60th of your field should be payah. You can make your whole field payah, like Mar is in Adarim. Nonetheless, is the rest of your field like payah itself, exactly like payah? Or is it a little different? Even when it's an eternal tosefes ksuva, we're talking about, we learn Mitzvah ksuva, to add on to the ksuva, right? Din of a ksuva. Sometimes, right, a woman collects the ikk ksuva, but she loses the tosefes ksuva. So anytime you add on something which you're not mechuyev, it's called like a davar reshus. It's like a woman who's not mechuyev in a mitzvah. She adds on to the mitzvah. She adds on and she does a mitzvah. So men were instructed in mitzvah seish hasman. Women are not instructed in mitzvah seish hasman groma. It's a reshus for them. Nashim somchos reshus. They could do the mitzvahs, maybe even make a bracha when they're not mechuyev. Nonetheless, it's not the same chiyuv. It's Tosefes Bikurim are considered like the Gemara says, eno dome. It's Eno Mitzuva Osa. It's a Rishus. So when you want to add on a Rishus to a Chova, it has to be so similar to it, right? In order to add on the Rishus, it has to be the exact parameters, the complete mitzvah of Bikurim. The complete mitzvah of Bikurim has to come from the complete Eretz Yisrael, where it was originally conquered by Yehoshua, like you do Hava and Kriya on, and not just Hava. So in order to add on to something that it shouldn't be an external part, it should be an internal part, it has to be a complete mitzvah of Bikurim. The Rishus has to be a complete mitzvah of Bikurim, because a davar Rishus, that is only partially, only b'diavad part of Bikurim, is not considered to be a Tosefes. It's not considered mimimino. It's not considered adding on to something. It has to be completely Bikurim in order to be internally an addition to it. I think that's the explanation. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.